Hi everyone, welcome to another Hattons Model Railways live stream, and today we're looking at the new release of our Genesis coaches, forthcoming 4 and 6 wheel vehicles available to pre-order now in double O gauge. There's a huge range coming through, and very recently we've announced the latest livery of these, the London South Western Railway colour scheme. We've shown these as part of our second batch of releases, and this is the final colour layout from the second batch of these coaches which is coming through. So I thought I'd show you these in more detail today. I thought I'd go through some of the differences between the different types of coach, some of the details in the liveries there too, as well as give you a brief bit of a history of the London South Western Railway itself, some of the locos you can pick up now in model form, and some of the great ways you can prepare for the release of the Genesis coaches in this particular livery. As ever, if you've got any questions, feel free to ask them in the chat and I'll answer as many as I can throughout the stream. Otherwise, don't hesitate to get in touch with our customer experience team, either via phone, live chat, or email. We're available 7 days a week to help you however we can. So let's take a look at some of the colours we have there. Let's take a first look at one of our coaches. This is the 4-wheel brake third that you can see on the screen now. This is the familiar to some I imagine, LSWR livery of Salmon and Brown. This was in place from the 1880s right until the grouping of the railways in 1923, when the London South Western Railway became part of the Southern Railway. It's really quite a striking and familiar scheme. It's not really got anything similar on the other pre-grouping railways across the world. As you can see there, it does stand out with the clash of the dark, almost a very dark mahogany brown colour, versus the lighter salmon pink on the top there too. So this is just one of the releases we've got so far. We'll be showing you more of the colour layouts in a moment there. And this was the standard colour scheme across the London South Western Railways coaches of the period. As you can see here in this immaculately preserved example on your screens now, this is the bogie brake third that is preserved at the Bluebell Railway, number 1520, which has been restored to the same livery conditions that our Genesis coaches are being provided in. You'll see some of the specific detailing on this coach and other coaches in preservation too, plus contemporary photographs has been replicated in our vehicles. I'll show you a close-up of one of the colour layouts there on the screen now, and you can see the distinctive black and outer red lining on the various panels there, as per the London South Western Railway specs from the late 1890s into the early 1900s. The lettering is shaded in black and is gold lilt lettering, and gold leaf lettering, should I say there. And this is done again to the exact styles and fonts carried by the London South Western Railway at the time. This features the later style of lettering, as you can see, with just LSWR for the branding, rather than the LS and WR carried earlier than the 20th century. We believe this variation came in the very early 1900s. We don't have an exact date for it, but it is how our coaches are being represented. If you do want to see a little more on the coaches, don't hesitate to head over to the link in the description. We have engineering prototypes of both the 4 and 6 wheel vehicles, and of course the full history and specification on these models available there for you to view. Heading over to the specific examples we have for the London South Western Railway, we've replicated many of these vehicles that could be seen throughout the whole of the LSWR network at the turn of the 19th and 20th centuries. So starting with the 4-wheelers, we have, of course, the standard 4-wheel brake third, as you can see here. One little thing to note is the guard compartment lettering, with the small T, as you can see there, heading off to the right there too. Again, copied from contemporary photos and also preserved examples of these particular vehicles. Sticking with the 4-wheelers, we head over to the first/second composite. Now, the LSWR was one of the last companies to operate a tri-composite trains with first, second and third class seating, with many companies by the 20th century reverting to just first and third class seating. But we've replicated this in the coaches that you can see here, with both first and second compartments available. The eagle-eyed viewers will also notice that all of the coaches have smoking areas and non-smoking compartments too. These are designated by the smoking symbols on the windows as per the real-life coaches. Our last four-wheeler that you'll see is coming up now. This is the all-third vehicle. This is 5 compartments, all third class, again with 2 smoking compartments to the left of the vehicle there. One thing you'll notice again on these specific wheels is the wooden style Mansell wheels, which are being fitted to these vehicles, do have the tyres picked out in white as per the LSWR livery specification. If you're looking for the prices there, Kelly, have a look at the link in the description. The coaches start at £30 each. We do have various different prices dependent on whether you want them lit or unlit, or if you want them as a part of a 4-part pack. But head over to the link down below in the description and you'll find out all the information on prices there. All the coaches come fully pre-painted and pre-numbered too. So we've covered the 4-wheelers. Let's head up to the 6-wheelers now. And this is something that was a little more common within the LSWR fleet at the time. So there's a few more variations of these to look at. We have again our brake third vehicle, this time with some different lettering on the guard and luggage compartment doors. This again is as per the LSWR specification. When it was a single door, the wording was just guard, as you can see there. And when it was a double door access to the guard or luggage compartment, this was given with the 2 words, as you can see there on the right-hand side of this particular vehicle. You'll also notice that these coaches feature the gas lighting fittings and the vacuum brake fittings as per the contemporary coaches used by the LSWR at the time. Heading on from our brake third, we have our all first vehicle, an entirely first class vehicle here with 4 first class compartments, 2 for smoking, and the first compartment there being a purely luggage compartment. So that is something to take a look at there, especially as part of a first class vehicle, with the specific area set aside for luggage, so the luggage could remain close to the passengers, which really was a priority for the first class users there. Just pick up a couple of different questions on the chat here too. Lucas, they are a prototypically literate design, so they're based on many different pre-grouping coaches with a lot of different items put into the mix to create a coach that's authentic looking for many different operators. Again, we've got a lot more details on this if you follow the link in the description and check out the videos on our YouTube channel too, which goes into this in a lot more detail. So heading back over to our 6-wheel coaches, I think we were up to our sorry, that's a 4-wheeler. I'll give you another preview of that there again. I think we're up to our all first there we were describing with the luggage. Now, if you need a little more luggage space, if you need a whole coach of luggage space, have a look at a full brake, as you can see here on the screen now. These coaches became really common throughout the late 19th and early 20th centuries, often being paired with bogie rolling stock too, to provide full luggage compartments and facilities. These especially so on the railways in the south of England, with many of the railways running from the various stations in the capital, London, to the channel ports, with that being the main way to access mainland Europe at the time, was by boat and rail. So you'll find lots of these full brakes working on the boat trains, servicing these trains running to the dockyards with passengers' luggage involved in them too. So a full brake's an essential part of the pre-grouping railway scene, but really is an essential part of the London South Western Railway scene too. Carrying on with our 6-wheelers, we've got a few more to go yet. We've got another first here again, another 4-compartment first, this time with something different in the middle. It's got a lavatory here, which was accessed from inside the two nearest compartments, one for smoking and one not for smoking. So they did meet in the middle there. And you have the lavatory facilities in the centre of the coach too. These coaches, as with all of our Genesis range, are non-corridor vehicles, so it was not possible to move between the different compartments once you are on board the train, as is common with pretty much every type of non-corridor vehicle in service at the time. Heading over to one more type, we mention again the second class vehicle, a rather rare treat in our Genesis range. Not a lot of operators had the second class as an available class at the time. As we mentioned before, sticking with the first and third setups. But this full vehicle here we see is a full second vehicle, giving second class seating there too. And again, the two separate smoking compartments are on this particular vehicle. One last one for you to look at there. And this is the 6-wheel all third. Again, being the main, shall we say, the standard class of passenger duty, this 5-compartment vehicle has no luggage area, no lavatory, but it does have 2 smoking compartments in this vehicle too. So take a look at those. If you are looking at some other liveries there, I can see Kelly Ashford's looking for the chocolate and cream Great Western colour scheme. And Thomas Creswell is looking for the London Brighton South Coast and the London North Eastern Railway. All 3 of those colour schemes, plus many, many more, are available to pre-order right now from our website. So if you head over using the link in the description, you'll find the link to the LSWR coaches there. Follow the link through and you'll see all the other liveries we have forthcoming. Many major pre-grouping companies and all of the big 4 railway companies post-grouping there too. But let's take a very, very quick look at the London South Western Railway itself. You may not be familiar with where these coaches fit in, and in this very distinctive colour scheme that we see here again on this preserved vehicle, it is something that's quite nice to replicate a model of in 00 gauge. And there's more and more rolling stock coming out for this railway. Formed in the early 1840s from a number of different railways, including the London and Southampton Railway. The LSWR spread throughout southwest England, hence being the London and South Western Railway, right down into Devon and Cornwall at some points, as you can see there, but mainly operating in the suburban areas out of London, heading down to destinations such as Southampton, Portsmouth and Weymouth. Heading over to the west, this was an area that was heavily populated by the Great Western Railway too, but the LSWR did have its inroads on its own separate main line from Salisbury to Exeter that you can see heading across there on the screen. So this was a company that was always quite pioneering, as well as having some of the more vintage rolling stock, as we see in our Genesis coaches. They were one of the first companies to experiment with third rail electrification on the London suburban network. And by the time of the grouping in 1922, had started to produce some fantastic large steam locomotive designs too, including the Uri 460s and some of the larger 440s too. But they're most likely best known for their 440 locomotives. We see here a very recent release of the T9 class locos, the Greyhound as they are known. And as we can see here, the 440 design, developed over 20 or 30 years by the LSWR, was an ever-changing and ever-evolving design. But there's a number of these locomotives preserved in this initial LSWR livery too. So it really was a railway of contrasts. While you had an electrified suburban network running out of London, heading into the southwest and the further reaches, you did find the smaller locomotives, such as the Adams radial class that we see here on an Oxford Rail model in the LSWR's pea green livery, later changed over to the olive green livery, similar as carried by the Southern Railway. You did find it was a real railway of contrasts, with the much more vintage stock, as we see here, operating on some of those lines further away from London. And that gives you some great excuses to get the Genesis coaches into your collection, whether you are looking at modelling some of the suburban services before the electrification came in, or you're looking at replicating some of those smaller branch line services. The coaches that you can see here on the screen are able to be replicated in many ways. And there's a lot of rolling stock to accompany them. We've already seen some examples there from the likes of Oxford Rail. We have the Hornby Terrier and the LSWR brake van in front of us here too. So there is a growing range of locomotives available right now that you can pick up in this distinctive livery. So we still haven't got a date for the batch 2 release of our coaches. We're expecting them later in 2021. These will be behind the first batch of our coaches, which includes liveries such as the London North Western Railway, London North Eastern Railway, Great Northern Railway and South Eastern Chatham Railway, and many more, which we are expecting in Q2. So that's between April and June for those particular liveries. Once those are in stock, we should have a better date on when the batch 2 releases, such as the LSWR coaches, are available. So keep an eye on our website and don't forget to pre-order them. If you do pre-order or register an interest, you'll be the first to know when that release date is. And of course, any updates on the particular coaches, including decorated samples, production models, videos, and more. So don't forget to stay tuned for a little more information. I hope you've enjoyed learning some more about the range of Genesis coaches that we're bringing through in this final livery from our second batch, the LSWR Salmon and Brown livery from the late 1890s right through to the formation of the Southern Railway in 1922. If you'd like to figure out a little bit more, if you'd like to learn some more about the London South Western Railway or see what items we've got available right now, don't hesitate to follow that link in the description where there is a lot more information. If you still want to know more, don't hesitate to ask a question underneath the video or get in touch with our customer experience team too. Our Genesis coaches are expected towards the summer for the first batch. And again, we have a huge amount more information on these vehicles available on our YouTube channel and our website right now. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel and our Facebook page for more videos like this, including our skills cast sessions and our real railway profiles too. And of course, all the latest model railway news. Otherwise, I'll see you next time. Take care.